Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about a new word that I think is needed in motocross riding technique, and that is center balanced. Normally you have heard people talking about being centered on the bike, and the reason why I think that is a flawed and suboptimal word to use is that it will bring people into the wrong understanding that being centered is a static position. And I've even heard like some coaches or some riders say on YouTube that, oh, you're just gonna have to ride with your helmet over the handlebars or a little bit in front of the handlebars all the time and then you're centered. That is not the case. That's not how it works. It is true in some cases, but actually being centered is something dynamic. It means it's ever changing, because if you're just standing in the same position and you twist the throttle really hard, you're gonna have to pull in the handlebars to be in the same position. However, if you adjust your body forward when you accelerate, then you can remain relaxed and unlocked in your arms and stay loose. And when you're braking, you're moving a bit towards the rear, so you're not fly over the front, and so you can also stay quite relaxed overall. So let's call it being center balanced instead, because adding that word balance explains that it's something dynamic. It explains that it's something where you're actually balancing on the foot pegs and adjusting your body balance depending on the forces of acceleration and braking applied. I'll give you actually one factor that remains the same. Not like, okay, I'll say it like this, it's like a much better alternative definition than thinking about having the helmet over the handlebars. Then I'll give you a better definition of like one single factor you can practice to stay centered. So stick around. So when I did a training camp and I was coached by the best riders in my country, one of the things they told me is that a top rider, he spends more time pressing down on the grips than pulling the grips, okay? And if you are a beginner and you haven't had a teacher, even if you've been riding for 10 years without a teacher and you've maybe even become fast, you may have the bad habit of always pulling the handlebars when you're riding and getting tired in your forearms and getting arm pump. I never get arm pump because I've trained this very important, the most important skill in motocross, which is to be center balanced when riding. So I don't have to grip hard, and that is because I spend more time pressing down on the grips instead of pulling. So now I'll give you the one factor, the one tip that you can practice to implement in your riding. Instead of thinking about an external cue such as having the helmet over the handlebars, instead think about this. Think about palm pressure. So you have to, instead of thinking about what your external body position is, think about, or I should say, you should pay attention to feeling the pressure on your palm of pressing down on the grips. And how hard should you press down? Let's talk about that, because that's important. You don't want to overdo it. So the amount of pressure should be just the weight of your arm resting down into the grips. And then the rest of the weight of your torso should be held by your lower back muscles. So if this is your lower back, it's around 45 degrees in the attack position. Then your lower back muscles are holding your upper body weight, but then the arms, which are connected up from the shoulders up here, they are pressing down on the handlebars with their own weight. So you're just resting your arms into the handlebars and then allowing your elbows and shoulder joints to be unlocked, so the handlebars move freely. And that way you can stay really center balanced. And when you're accelerating, you move forward, so you maintain that same palm pressure. And when you're braking really hard, you move yourself a little bit back, so you don't press too hard into the grips when you're braking and fly over the front of the handlebars. So if you can ride around the track with constant palm pressure, you can ride really, really effortless. And that is what being centered really is, okay? And that way you can ride a lot more laps without getting tired. You're a safer rider and you have more control. So there's a lot of reasons to get really good at this. And you don't get arm pump if you do this correctly. And if you practice enough, I should say. Of course, there are exceptions to this. Let's talk about what those are. Mainly sand tracks. You know, on sand tracks, you're always pulling a little bit to lift the front and get more traction on the rear. Also on low traction conditions, you also can't be too centered. You can't have too much weight over the front because then you lose traction on the rear. So whenever you need extra traction, you do have to invest a bit of energy and grip a little bit harder and pull the handlebars a little bit. And then also, if you're going up a bumpy hill, that also counts. If it's not bumpy, you can just sit down and relax and twist the throttle, right? Easy peasy. But usually it's bumpy after a while. And also, another exception for when you cannot be completely centered is on race starts when you want really good traction. You know, they always hanging off the back of the bike a bit usually, unless there's extremely good traction. And also in general, if you're riding on a really high level, usually you will have sections of the track where you're pulling the handlebars to optimize traction. But as soon as you're up to speed, you will center yourself again, also for cornering and for downhills especially. So that's why pro riders, they look so effortless and make it look so easy. It's because they're masters of balance. And you don't hear many people talk about, oh, balancing on the bike when you're riding, but that's what it really is. It's not that much about being really strong. Maybe one reason why people don't talk that much about being balanced on the bike or center balance is maybe because they have heard that motocross is one of the toughest sports in the world and it's supposed to be tough. But hey, if you can make it easy first, make it the most effortless way first possible, and then ride faster until it gets tough, then you will be in a lot better position and ride a lot faster. So I hope you agree that using the word center balanced makes a lot more sense because it's more dynamic and it explains a lot more about what it actually is. Or using the word palm pressure, I just call it PP sometimes on my programs. And I also hope it helped you understand more about riding technique and maybe give you a drill you can go out and practice next time. Do like a palm pressure moto, where you just only pay attention to palm pressure and feeling unlocked in your shoulders and arms and never pulling the handlebars. Okay? And maybe also combine it with feeling the foot pegs and feeling the knees connected to the bike. So you have all those 3 connection points dialed in. And also don't forget screwdriver grip. That's gonna be another video, okay? Thank you guys for watching and don't forget to subscribe and see you on the next one. If you want to learn more tools and techniques and habits that can improve your life quality and performance and well-being overall, please subscribe. And if you like tropical island holidays, check the link in the description for my 2-time TripAdvisor award-winning training camp, where we train fitness and action sports together while learning to live a healthy lifestyle and maybe most importantly, have fun at the same time. And if you're really serious about improving yourself, you should definitely check out my full online courses where I share step-by-step programs on how I develop my own routines over the last 12 years as a CEO working in 4 different countries, while being a successful competitive athlete with more than 20 years of experience in fitness and nutrition. Check the link in the description for that. And in any case, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, be awesome, believe in yourself, and see you on the next one.